Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Rule Thirds, your favorite film culture podcast, because obviously, my name is Larry.
My name is Sean.
And my name is Max.
And welcome back to our 2015 in review series, where we're doing a ton of episodes about just looking back on 2015, the good, the bad, and the whatever.
That was actually fun fact. That was the working title of the Clint Eastwood Western classic.
Yeah, exactly.
The good, the bad.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe it's good.
It was
Yeah.
changed because they didn't know how to spell that.
They didn't know how to write that in the title.
Yeah.
Like 3 ellipses, or just like and whatever, or is it lowercase?
Anyway.
Anyway, the last episode we did, which I highly recommend you watch, is the top three favorite films of the year, which was the positive side of this sort of little two-parter, top three special. Now we're doing part 2, which is our top three least favorite, and it is sure to be a negative ride from the very start. Before we get started, how you guys doing?
Well, good, because we just like a few minutes ago we're talking about our favorite movies of the year. So I'm good.
I know, but
I think
we
it will
didn't really
sour.
ask.
I think it will
Yeah, we
sour.
didn't really ask
too.
about
And I was in a good
you
mood
guys
today because I was playing
Yeah.
a video game that I really enjoy.
That's nice. Always good to be doing something you like. So on that note, let's talk about movies we hate. So just in case for any of you who don't know how it works, it's top three. So we're going to be giving our top 3 least favorite films of the year one by one. So it's going to be Sean's 3, then my 3, then Max's 3. And then after 2, we're also going to give some honorable or dishonorable mentions for our least favorite. And we're going to try to keep it as civil as possible because there might be some disagreements, possibly. But your question is very similar to the last episode we did. What is your top 3 least favorite films of the year? And don't just give us the movies. Tell us a little bit why you didn't like them. We're interested to hear.
Yeah. Hey, Larry, are these the worst films we've seen this year?
I don't know, Max. I guess not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to make that clear for people. This isn't
Yeah.
what we consider worst. This is
Absolutely.
just how I did it was, just like positive. When I thought about the movie, how strong was my negative reaction to just say no and push that movie out of my head? That was the criteria to get on my top 3. It was a strong desire to yell no and push it out of my knowledge of existence.
Yeah, see, that's why my number 1 is Star Wars The Force Awakens, because it's just a rehash of the other Star Wars movies. It's just boring.
Oh, God. Max, what have you done?
If you
God.
didn't watch our best, you know that's not true.
Yeah, that's not true. Don't worry. None of us have Star Wars on the list. But I am curious to see what you guys do have on your list. And again, this is an emotional response. We didn't see every movie, every bad movie. I'm sure none of us go out of our way to see terrible films.
Right, that's the problem. Like, honestly, if I saw them, I guarantee every single one of those garbage pandering subgenre religious films would be here. They all look terrible. But I did not put myself through that. I also did not see Gem and the Holograms, which I've heard is abysmal. So,
yes.
We didn't go out of our
Plenty
way to
of
see
bad movies we didn't
really.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these
Sad,
movies
too.
on my list, as far as my list is concerned, I didn't expect any of these movies to be bad walking in.
Yeah,
the ones that I have
two of the 3. I didn't have an opinion on one of them, but 2 of the 3, yeah, it was a bit of like, they let me down.
So, yeah, so on that note, I guess I did sort of say this. We'll just go in the same order we did for the last episode.
Okay.
That would be best. So, Sean, I'm going to ask you to please give us your 3rd least favorite film of 2015.
Well, this one was tough. This one I was kind of switching with a runner-up, which we'll get to. But in the end, it really did. It made me sad. It wasn't just that it upset me for a lot of its, I think, bad film decisions, but it made me sad because there was so much that it could have been. So my number 3 is Sicario, which
Sicario.
really hyped. The director of the upcoming Blade Runner sequel. I really wanted to like this movie, and I'm yet to see Prisoners and Enemy.
Prisoners is so good.
Yeah, no, I know you're
such
Prisoners
a
is
good
so
movie.
not. Don't worry
Wow.
about it.
Okay.
Excuse
Actually,
me.
Yeah,
Excuse
I'm doing that.
me.
I'm doing that. You go back and you watch Cinemattack review of Prisoners that Larry and I did. We had very different opinions.
Yeah.
I love
Anyway,
Prisoners.
More importantly, I'm a huge fan of Emily Blunt. I'm a huge fan of Benicio del Toro. John
Marvel.
Travolta's good every once in a while. Like, it had so much going for it, and it looked like this intense story about cartels and the drug war. But the fundamental problem with Sicario is that our main character, Emily Blunt, which hooray, you got a female protagonist. How about we have her do something? The movie is basically her being thrown in a situation where she's kind of kept in the dark the whole movie. And instead of actively trying to do actions in order to get answers, he's just along for the ride, like every other scene going, hey, what's going on? Tell me answers. And they say, no. and then it doesn't do anything. No actions that she takes lead to information for the audience or her as a character. And the entire plot is driven by Josh Brolin, who doesn't tell her anything, is just running his own mission, and Benicio del Toro, who actually has a personal, emotional story that has an endpoint, which Emily Blunt doesn't. The main character needs that. And this film was so highly praised. And I don't get it. Because it's like screenwriting 101. Your protagonist should do stuff. And it was underusing Emily Blunt. And she's awesome. She's so much better than this movie. She didn't deserve this. She deserved a better movie. And so I felt burned. I felt sad. And I don't know if either of you guys saw Sicario.
No, I just think
I did not,
it's a me, Sicario. All right.
That is so funny.
Nice.
See, that's the most enjoyment I got out of Sicario. Max's stupid Mario. There you go. So, yeah, Sicario. A big disappointment. I think it felt empty. Its moral was, you can't win against this kind of evil. I'm like, okay, that's in like every crime movie and was way better in No Country for Old Men. So go watch No Country for Old Men. It's way better. Also has Josh Brolin in it, and should have had Emily Blunt because Emily Blunt should just be in every movie. So yeah, there we go. Number 3. Yeah, okay, fine. Give her Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
Max, you keep saying
yeah,
it.
it could work.
So yeah,
It
Sicario.
could work.
Disappointment. I do not get the praise. I think it was very weak. So
That's a shame.
there you go.
Sorry to hear about that.
Blah. Bad taste in my
unfortunately,
mouth for sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, neither Max or I saw it. So
Yeah,
I guess
you
we'll
can't
leave
really
it
add
alone.
stuff, but
I'll watch
but
it
I'll look it
eventually, yeah.
out.
Maybe we'll argue.
Yeah, I'll
about
look
it.
out for it. Maybe we can talk about it a little bit if I ever get the chance to see it.
sure.
All right, my number 3, least favorite, is a film that I had no idea it was possibly going to be this flawed. And the worst part is that I don't think it's really that bad of a movie in general, but its flaws are just so noticeable. The Intern. Did any of you guys?
Really?
You guys heard about The Intern?
This one with Anne
Yeah.
Hathaway and Robert De Niro.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail as to my specific flaws, but the movie starts off fine. The first hour, it's fine. But for some reason, somebody thought this film had to be about a half hour to 45 minutes longer than it ever needed to be. And it just it has a pretty good plot, but then the last third just kicks it down and shoots itself in the foot, tries adding this plot line that doesn't work. It basically turns it into a soap opera. It takes away most of the comedy out of it. There's a lot of weird tonal shifts that happen within the last third. It goes on. Again, I think the big issue is that no light comedy should be 2 hours long. Unless you have a really gripping, dramatic core, which most light comedies don't, you shouldn't need 2 hours to get through this kind of a light comedy.
Yeah,
And
wow,
I
I
think
didn't realize it was so long.
Yeah, and if the entire last third was taken out and perhaps ended on more of a simple note, we wouldn't have such a cliche film that, in my honest opinion, is sort of a feminist with no clothes. You know how there's the Emperor with no clothes? So I'm saying it's the main character is a woman who is successful in her life, but as the movie goes on, it kind of becomes not as it's feminism, which is really a good element of the film, just kind of becomes not warranted, and they kind of ruin it for themselves. And again,
a soapbox problem.
Yeah,
Where
kind
instead of actually
yeah.
executing what it's trying to say, it just kind of says it to you.
Yes,
because I've had that
yes.
problem in movies.
That-
Even if I agree with the
yes.
cause, it's like, come on, do it more filmy, show don't tell, that sort of thing.
Absolutely, yeah. The last third becomes a bunch of soapboxes. Now that I'm thinking about it, and this is the director, I believe, of What Women Want, which was a very successful film at its time for its time. And I get why the feminism angle is there, and again, I want to stress what makes me mad about this movie is that it works in the beginning. Robert De Niro has a fine performance, and Hathaway as well. Script is fine, nothing too amazing, but still, works. And then it just goes off the rails and overall leaves a far worse taste in my mouth than I was ever expecting. And with other films that I'm going to mention, my runner-ups, that I kind of went in thinking they weren't going to be that good, and they weren't that good. The Intern just had so much potential, and it skyrocketed downwards. And
It ground rocketed.
it's ground rocketed. Okay, we'll go with that. So yeah, The Intern, the movie I was least expecting to make this list, but damn, was it not that good in the end. So
Well, neither
yeah.
of us saw it, so we can't really add either.
Yeah, just don't bother. Maybe if it's on TV.
I mean,
give it
except
a
to
look,
say that
but-
we were both the interns at one point this year.
Yeah, so are you saying that you didn't like us, Larry? Is this your hidden way? Say we don't like
You
Max
jealous?
and I,
You
the
jealous, Larry,
interns?
of our intern powers, the powers that we don't?
I think that is like 100% clearly what just went down. I don't think I could
knew
have
it.
seen it as anything else.
You monster.
You caught me. You caught me.
Anyway.
Anyway, Max, give us your number 3 least favorite.
If I may, I actually kind of like where this list is, like where this is going, because all our choices are very different. Because it's, as opposed to last time where we had one movie on all 3 lists and another movie on 2 lists. In this case, I think it's all going to be different. I think, except for number 1, which I still believe is something we're all going to pick as number 1.
I don't think it is.
We'll see.
We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Probably wrong, but I'm still going to go with it. So number 3 is a film that actually also surprised me because it was a film that so many people love. And I'm not going to cry overrated because I don't like that word. I don't like underrated or overrated. Those words can go and sit in a corner because I'm not trying to say that this movie is overrated. I'm just perplexed as to how people have jumped on this movie's bandwagon, calling it the best movie of the year when it is barely a movie to begin with.
Oh,
and of course,
okay.
I had to see this movie on Christmas. And now, like any other Jewish family, in theory, I was like, yay, Christmas, watch a movie, or watch this movie. And then I walked out and I was like, the heck, man? That was not a Christmas miracle. I'm talking, of course, about the critically acclaimed Spotlight. And I am so perplexed because I'm going to put on my film critic hat for a second. I'm kind of proud of myself that I don't like this movie.
Wow.
Not because it's like a hipster thing, because I can tell you exactly why it's not a good film. Because it's not visual. Here's the problem with movies that do this, is that they have good stuff going for it. Spotlight has a good story. I like it. I like its thematic core about how we need the paper, how we need the press. Even in a world today dominated by online news and stuff, the newspaper is still an important place to be. And the performances are great. Mark Ruffalo should be nominated. Regardless of my thoughts on the movie, he is amazing, and I'm glad he's a mainstream, well-known actor because he's so good. The thing is, this movie is just conversations and opening and closing books. That is all that happens in this movie. And I'm not saying that as like, it's boring. It is boring, but it's not because of that. I could, yesterday, I mentioned this in the last podcast, I went to go see Carol. And I was watching Carol and I realized this movie is not only a visually told story in the sense of its cinematography, but it's also a visually told story through its actors, in that you can tell through their facial expressions, through their blocking, it's all telling a visual story without needing any dialogue. Spotlight is nothing but dialogue that tells a story that is not even like all that interesting, still good, but not all that like enticing. Like it's good source material and stuff. My point is, sorry, I'm sort of rambling. Nothing in this film is visually appealing. This should not be a movie. It should be a well-acted theater production or a well-written book. It's not a movie. It looked bland and gray. Its colorization is pretty awful. It's like it has nothing going for it outside of its conversations, which are nice, but also just like really just sort of like a tug-of-war that isn't even that interesting. Like the elements that work do, but it's so not visual. It's so not a movie. How could people be calling this the best movie of the year? Doesn't even like being a movie. I don't like it. And I'm not saying that those people are wrong, that people are stupid. I'm just really perplexed here. How could you like a movie that doesn't even like to be a movie? Like, I mean, you could like it. How could you give it the number 1 position on your top 10 movies of the year, or top 20, or whatever? Ugh. I'm so perplexed. If this movie becomes successful enough, turn into like a play, that'll be awesome. I'll go see that because it's a good story and good acting. That's where it should be. It's not a movie. It's just conversations on camera. And I should know because I made a short film that was just that, and I realized there's nothing visual to that. There's no movie in this movie. And okay, I'm done.
Wow, we're only on number 3, guys.
Yeah, we're getting into
it. This is gonna be fun. I would like to ask. I was wondering, how's Keaton in the movie?
Keaton is really good.
That's good.
Mark Ruffalo is just like the best. He's so good.
That's nice.
Rachel
That's
McAdams also, she's come a long way from Regina George. She's really good in this. And then also there's another guy whose name I can't remember, but he's also really good. The main 4 characters are really are really good actors.
What about Brian Darcy James? Is that the guy you're thinking of?
And he's Stanley Tucci as well. He's really good too.
He's actually a theater actor. Yeah, I think hasn't Stanley Tucci had theater experience also?
I think so.
I feel like
just go to the
this
stage.
Is made up of theater people. Yeah, fascinating. Is it
the
not
world
based off
needs
a
to
book?
go see more stage productions other than Hamilton right now. Okay, just go to the stage. God, all right, let's move on.
That's true. All right, let's move on to the number 2s. Sean, hit it.
Okay. let's whip out that word overrated. Let's whip on that. Let's
boy.
just bring that out, and let's keep our perplexed hats on.
Here we
and
go.
I'm gonna put up my flame shields. I'm gonna be very light here, because this is just kind of an emotional honesty thing. I decided it had to be here.
Okay.
Max, you need to chill.
I know what it is. I give up.
Okay.
I give up.
My number 2 least favorite movie is Mad Max Fury Road.
Ah.
Now,
The truth comes out.
now that everyone's done screaming at the computer and writing hateful comments,
You say that like there are more than
is-
like 2 people that watch this.
well, they could both be
just
very
saying.
upset right now.
I'm just writing my preemptive counter argument to anything you're about to say.
Look, I understand that it's like this impressive this achievement of like stunt work and camera stuff, after actually filming all this physically, very little bit CGI. I'm totally for, just like Sicario, female protagonist. Max is not the protagonist. It's definitely Furiosa. Mm-hmm. And it is a very feminist message, very, down with patriarchy, who killed the world. These are all things I'm in support of. What I'm not in support of is, I feel like calling it a paper-thin story. Like, I can punch through paper. Like, it takes some effort to punch through paper. So, what about, like, spider-web thin plot? Because, it's funny, the Nostalgia Critic really liked Fury Road. Right, Max, I know you're going to be upset, but you can agree with him on this. He liked Fury Road. And why he liked Fury Road is because, in the end, he realized that this is basically a Roadrunner cartoon. It's all about the chase, and about the fun things that happen in the chase, and the execution of it. And my counter argument is, do you know what's really amusing about Roadrunner? They're like 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
That's what it works for. Because I do like Roadrunner. Wile E. Coyote, delightful, always getting,
Now I want to see a
always
Furiosa
backfired.
and
Morton Joe and Furiosa,
and Morton
yeah.
Joe as the Wile E. Coyote and Furiosa as the Roadrunner. I really want to see
Someone
that.
just recolor them.
Can
Recolor
we
them
just
as
see
as
that
the
happen,
characters.
please?
Yeah.
Fine, Doug Walker, I'll give you that one.
So that's my counter argument. And again, this movie upset me so much because everyone's calling it the best movie of the year. And honestly, it's just so thin on plot. And I think it made so many easily fixable choices. Like, why doesn't Furiosa make a choice to go back and take her own green place? That should have been a choice instead of a need for survival. And the turnaround with Nix, him,
Nux. I believe his
was
name is
way
Nux.
too
Nux,
quick.
yeah.
Max, I'm fine with him not being the protagonist. I'm glad he wasn't, but still should have done more or given more of a character. His not talking felt like he had nothing to say because he wasn't an engaging character. And I would admit, a lot of the action is visually impressive, but honestly, I found it a bit repetitive. Because cars hitting each other or people in cars throwing stuff at other people in cars, it got old to me. A car is a
sword fight on
singular
top of a
object.
truck?
I mean, that was okay, but it just... Look, and all the side characters, like all the wives being, escorted out, I appreciate that they were competent and treated like actual characters, thank goodness. But at the same time, everyone just had like one thing. Like there was the one that talked to Nix. There was the one that wanted to go back. There was the one that connected with that old woman. There was the one that died. Like, it was just kind of like one trait to each. You know what I mean? So I didn't feel like any of the characters were well fleshed out. Furiosa came the closest. Furiosa's a solid character. I will give this movie that. But in the end, this is the most overrated movie of the year. I don't think it deserves any of the praise. It will probably get an Academy Award nomination for Best Picture, but it will not
I don't
win.
think that.
It's
No,
not the
that's
type
a
of
blockbuster.
movie.
You think the Academy gives a crap
They
about
nominated.
that?
They nominated Avatar. They're gonna nominate Fury Road. Okay, but it's not gonna win. Max, I guarantee it will get a nomination. I will put money, $5. I will mail it to you. $5. You in? Right now.
I don't want to give you $5 if you're right.
Fine, because you know I will be. Anyway, I've made it clear that I think Fury Road is a highly overrated movie. I think, however, on second viewing, I don't think it's meaningless. I see what it's going for. I just don't think it does it. I don't think it pulls off its theme at all. It makes some bad plot decisions, and it just doesn't have enough of a story for me. It's one long chase scene. That's all I see, and it just upsets me that it got the praise. And when I was being honest with myself, even though overall I think it's kind of a mediocre movie, emotionally, it got me the second most angry. So there you go.
That's
Mad
true.
Max Fury Road made me furious, though that's died down a bit since it came out.
Yeah. Spoiler: it's not on my 3.
Yeah, I didn't
Mad
expect
Max.
it to be.
Yeah, it's not on my 3, but I do think that I did share Sean's rage-ish thoughts when I first saw it, and then I rewatched it, and honestly, I'm just sort of indifferent more towards it now. I do think it does have issues for sure that I still kind of keep from my first viewing of it, but I do, like, after talking to some people about how they see the imagery of it and what they think it really means, I think you do have to. Even though I don't think it really says that much, I do admire the fact that it does, that a lot of people really are getting into it, and they think this movie was such an experience for them that they are really looking into it, which is nice. I like when people really look into films and discuss them and analyze them. But yeah, super thin on plot. It was a there and back again story. Nobody seems to acknowledge that. Easily my least favorite part about it.
It's because it's not an inherently bad thing.
It's not an inherently bad thing. It's a bad thing in this movie, though. And Tom Hardy Mad Max was his own character in the movie. I think they could have done way more with his character, and that's fine if he doesn't talk. I'm fine if he doesn't have dialogue, but I just think they don't do nearly enough. With Mad Max.
That kind of reminds
besides
me.
for that,
sorry, I forgot. We never actually posted a review of Mad Max Fury Road.
We did. We posted a discussion.
You guys did.
We did a discussion of it.
My biggest thing of why it upset me so much, I forgot. I didn't.
What's the response?
Was the fact that critics all the time bring up movies that I find a lot of interesting things about, like they're doing this interesting character stuff and drama stuff. Usually, I'm talking blockbusters, and they'll call it, "Oh, it's nothing but action scene with this bare necessity of plot to just string along the action scenes." And they use it as like this, "Oh, this is low. Our movies are so much better," because that's all it is. When I think it's ignoring really clever things being done. And so then when a movie comes out that is so obviously, like indisputably, paper thin plot just to string along action scenes, they're just going nuts for it. And I'm sick of that hypocrisy. That is just inexcusable. There is nothing else. I think the theme is not pulled off. So it is a very thin plot, and it's just for action. If you call, a lot of the Marvel movies or some other action blockbusters terrible because it's just a thin plot, string together action sequences, you need to call this that. You just have to be honest. It doesn't matter if the action's better. I mean, it does matter in terms of like overall, but that can't change your entire philosophy towards the film. You can't say it's garbage because it's this paper thin plot, string together action, and then turn to Mad Max and be like, it is genius because it is this paper thin plot, stringing along action scenes. You can't do that, critics. God, wow. See, there it is. There's the rage. That's why it's number 2. I was when I stopped talking, I was like, wait, I didn't get that upset talking. Did I mess up putting number 2?
Did I miss something?
Back. Screw that. No.
I just think people were blinded by, in a sense, I think he's a visionary, but I think people were just blinded by sort of George Miller's incredible practical effects and I do agree. He's a visionary. Movie's gorgeous. A lot of great practical effects used, and the action is well done. I just think it's very repetitive. That's why car chases are only 5 to 10 minutes. They're not 30. So, again, I'm more indifferent towards it now, and also because I don't think it's worth getting all annoyed about it at this rate, because people are just going to love it, and you can say what you want about it, and I don't agree with them, but I'm not going to take away, their enjoyment of it, which I feel that sometimes I end up doing when I say that I don't like movies, which I'm trying not to do. So I guess this was a nice sort of where are they now on Mad Max Fury Road after the discussion episode.
Max, where are you now on Mad Max? Well, you put it on your
Max loves it, and I'm going to be that guy and say that it is my number 4 favorite film of the year because it is.
I respect your opinion.
I think it's a lyrical, like poetic, just insane, chaotic mess of a vision that totally works. I know
it's a chaotic mess of a vision.
Just a mess.
I don't think it's a mess at all. I think it's very much... It's controlled chaos.
Here's the thing. Watch Mr. Holmes. In terms of story, that's a chaos. Because it has like these 3 or 4 subplots going on. You're like, how does this all tie? What is going on? And they do bring it together. That movie, I got the sense of there was a purpose behind it. Because it was like the audience was supposed to be piecing together their own mystery of like, how does this all come together? Loved that element.
That's a Sherlock Holmes movie. That's what they do. They make subplots and they tie them together at the end.
But I'm talking just thematically. Like plot-wise, the subplots weren't related. But in the end, everything fed into that final message so well. That's what I think controlled chaos is. I don't think that's Mad Max. Because there was no story to be chaotic and then tie into something. Because it was this line from A to B, back to A.
Okay, Max, you got any final thoughts on Mad Max?
I've given up with you too. I don't know what it is with this, but like Mad Max Fury Road is an excellent film, and I'm not going to change my opinion about it. And you guys aren't going to change yours, so whatever.
I am so
Yeah,
glad I
that's
put it on
fine.
the list because the rage came
I'm
back.
just-
Woo.
I'm hoping one day we can we can sit down and talk about the movie.
I would love to
and-
literally sit down and watch it, like Max
Yeah,
and I
think
at
it would be a
least,
fun
and just like
experiment.
as watching, like point out, like see that, like frame
Yeah,
per
that's-
frame
sometimes
if we
movies
need
need
to.
that.
Be like, where are
Sometimes
you
you just-
getting this? You know?
Yeah, like sometimes your opinions on a movie is just so specific. You need to watch. You need to sit down and watch it,
And
scene
I
by
want to
scene,
understand.
display.
Because again, I
Yeah.
get what they're going for, but I just completely fail to see how they accomplished it. So I want you, Max, to be able to point to stuff and say, "Here's why I'm getting this, and here's this," and for me to say,
Okay,
"You're right."
let's move on to the next
I love
one,
it.
guys.
I
Okay,
want
yeah,
to be
yeah,
positive.
okay.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Okay,
That's probably going
fine.
to take the most time of all our movies because
Let's
you
pray.
know, it's most divided.
All right. So now, thank you, Sean. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
My
Sorry that
number
went too
two. My number two. I'm gonna keep this quick because Sean, you love it, but Spy is my number two. Personally.
Really?
I did. I really didn't like. I really didn't like Spy.
Sophomore
I
humor
really,
thing.
really didn't like Spy.
Well, okay,
like,
you know what? That's what's so
at
funny.
all.
You turn around when you're like, "Hey, Spies," toilet humor, all that, and then you turn around and you like Trainwreck, which is
I said I thought Trainwreck was a
such
fun
lowbrow
movie.
humor.
I didn't.
It's
I didn't
not.
think.
It is.
No,
has such
Trainwreck
lowbrow
definitely
humor.
tackled. Trainwreck definitely had there was a lot more to it than just its.
I would
I
agree.
can't stress how
sex
much
humor.
less of a good of a comedy Trainwreck is. Trainwreck is a
is really
train
good.
wreck. No, it's
I
it's
didn't
amateur.
think Trainwreck was
It's
a train
okay. No,
wreck.
it's
I
not
thought
really
it
good.
was
It's good. It's not.
It's
it-
amateur,
It's
and it is a runner-up, and we'll get to that. But no,
but if I
Spy
can just-
is really good. Shush.
I'm sorry, I don't agree. I think, and it's not only the sophomore humor that just bothers me. I think that the film just had so much potential to actually have say something, not only about the spy genre, but just about just misperceptions of people in general. And I think it just doesn't. I think it's too focused on trying to make too many just sort of lazy jokes. Like there are so many jokes. I'm just like, oh wow, look, someone farted in another person's face.
There's literally
supposed to be a
never that
joke?
joke. Literally,
No,
that never is
nope,
in the movie.
there's a joke.
I've seen
I remember
5
it
times.
vividly.
It is not in the movie. It is,
Well,
that's
you clearly
not
forget
in
the
movie.
scene on the airplane. You clearly forget the airplane scene where someone farts in her face.
That would be
when they're
different. It's a bit
No,
more.
that is literally that joke.
There's a bit more. Also, the funny part was the zero gravity. Okay, once.
I'm just bringing up
One
one
joke.
of the lazy
All right,
jokes.
Move
okay,
it along, guys.
I'm trying to explain my opinion, but some people just get very kind of defensive. I'm
I
sorry,
thought
and I
the
knew
biggest,
this.
The biggest thing was going to be me and Max over Mad Max, but here we are. You're throwing in Spy,
I'm sorry.
blindsiding
Now,
me with
look,
this.
Now, listen. I'm going to say this again. I did not go out of my way to see bad movies, and if I went out of my way to see a movie that I knew wasn't going to be good, it honestly wasn't as bad as or it was bad, but I'm indifferent towards bad. I thought Spy was going to be way funnier.
It was
and
hilarious.
I was sorely disappointed by it.
my God.
I also think the ending pulls off some twists that are just so cliche and so hacky.
Can I
the
step
twist
in
at
here
the
actually?
end.
Real quick?
Yeah, sure. Go
See,
ahead.
here's the thing, Larry. I'm kind of with you on a lot of these things, but I still think Spy is a good movie. I think a lot of this comes from the fact that the design is so the production design to a sense is so uninspired. And a friend of mine explained this to me. It's because the spy genre has always been James Bond that any attempts at comedy is going to mimic James Bond because James Bond is the spy genre. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It just takes over that. So I would also say that
I
yes,
guess.
a lot of the jokes are sort of lowbrow. I think it's a good film. But I think I think its best attribute actually is the sound design. That's me. There's certain moments.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Such good.
Yeah, I'll give you that for
sound.
sure.
I'm so upset.
I'm sorry. I think okay. Maybe if I haven't watched it in a really long time, it's at least for a few months now. Maybe when I look back, I'll look back on it a tad more fondly. But right now, I guess production value aspect. It's finally made. That's all. Script is okay. But besides for Statham, which I really enjoyed, I'll give you that. Jason Statham was awesome.
He was so amazing. How can anything that
was great.
character is in be even
That was
close?
actually that was a
With three
great
words.
character.
I'm sorry,
Statham's
Jason
amazing.
Statham. He was basically playing a parody of himself.
Yeah, Jason Statham
which
as
is
Jason
awesome.
Statham.
Yeah, it was very funny. That worked. But I think that was probably the only thing that I felt was really going towards some honest to God self awareness. And it didn't work for me. And this, I'm not. Hold on, just one more thing. This is the director of the new Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, who
Paul
just
V.
liked my Twitter review of Spy on Twitter like
Okay.
30 minutes ago.
And
I'm
I
going to tell
just-
him. We're best friends, Larry. I'm going to tell him. He's gonna come
Okay,
after
fine.
you.
Go
He's gonna come
ahead.
after you.
I think on a podcast episode far earlier in the year, I mentioned my ambivalence towards Ghostbusters, and now that ambivalence after seeing Spy is just heightened. Oh man, I mean, Melissa McCarthy's performance. I'm gonna give her. She was fine. She acted it well,
great.
but I just think she keeps pigeonholing herself in like similar characters. Which is why, like, Boss, which is coming out soon, even though it looks a little mean-spirited, at least it looks like a legitimately new character that she's playing.
All right,
I'm sorry, but I just didn't like Spy. I'm not a fan.
All right.
But I'm just going to move right off of it because I think we've already discussed disapproval.
Well, my number one least favorite movie of 2015 is Larry. So
Okay,
so
there you
there you
go.
go.
Max, what is your number 2?
All right, number 2 is a film that I pushed for all of us to see and talk about. What I got out of it, I was so, again, another film I was highly anticipating to watch, not for it to be good, just to watch and see what unfolds. And man, what happened here? I'm talking about Disney's Tomorrowland. And
Ooh,
yeah,
wow.
Really? You guys.
I know.
Jeez.
Wow,
I
Sean
know,
is
and
just
this is the
getting
thing. You guys are
upset.
the only people that object to me on this one. Everybody
Well, okay.
else, I'm talking to at film school, they're all like, yeah, this was a bummer. And that's because Brad Bird has been one of my favorite directors for a long time. The Iron Giant is perhaps the greatest not Disney animated film of all time, maybe. The Incredibles,
Debatable.
hello. Ratatouille, hello. Like, Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol, hello. This guy
Yeah.
is talented.
Yeah, yep.
And he had this vision to take one of the most fascinating attributes of Disneyland, genuinely. Like, Tomorrowland is so interesting as it gives us a sight of the future. Like, that's why the tagline was so interesting, was the remember the future. Because it's just this, like, really genuine, like, really authentic display of what we wanted the future to be. And it just turns into this preachy, gray, colorized mess drag of a film.
Wait, you say gray,
because Damon Lindelof, who
Oh,
screwed
boy.
it all up with his stupid writing tropes. Ugh. Okay, I'm not gonna say that Brad Bird is like totally innocent here, but I don't know how they're best buddies. Apparently, like they go way back, like back in the grade school or something. But I don't know
Really?
how they did it. But Damon Lindelof managed to take this really simple concept and make it so overly complicated that none of it is interesting. None of it matters. None of it is any interesting. And here's the worst part. My favorite part of this film is actually a genuinely awesome thing. The message it gives is so awesome. Is so great. Is so something that kids should hear. It's kind of it's another live-action Disney film that I would totally show my kids. But in the case of like Maleficent, even though I know Maleficent is a lot of things, even though with Tomorrowland, I would take the film, I would edit it down to about 22, 21 minutes, and I would show it to them because they should not be subjected to this drag of a film. All of it. Like, none of it is good. All of the stupid little references to other sci-fi stuff. All the other, like, weird, plot-heavy things that don't actually mean anything. Hugh Laurie is just kind of there to be an evil British man. Like, what is this? What is this garbage? Like, it's, and again, I was so looking forward to this. And they let me down. They really did. This movie bombed, and I don't say it deserved to bomb. No movie deserves to bomb in the box office. Unless it's, like, super racist and sexist and all this stuff. But Tomorrowland is a good message hampered down by a bad everything else. Yeah.
See, I disagree. I find it fine to meh. I've kind of
Right,
settled
yeah,
down.
same.
I wasn't initially like, no, that was good. I have seen some of the issues, but I really think the character of Athena was really engaging, and there was a good core with her and George Clooney's character Frank. So I think there's more emotionally, like, I got invested in than you did, Max. So I can overlook a lot of the other issues. But I get where you're coming from with all the complaints. I'm like, yeah, what was Hugh Laurie doing? And wait, what was the point of, like, there was a world ending because of Tomorrowland? Like, I genuinely can't remember the stakes of the climax. So I get it. I'm just surprised. Like, I was assuming it would be in your honorable mentions because you were not happy. I'm surprised it was on your list, like number 2 though. I
Yeah,
will say
because Brad Bird. Because
High-
if it had just
high
been like a movie
expectations,
directed
yeah.
by, like, I don't know, some other guy, or some other girl or some other whatever, I wouldn't mind. But this was Brad Bird. This was the first time Brad Bird genuinely let me down, and
Well, yeah.
it hurts. It really hurts.
Yeah, I have to. I also get where you're coming from. I think one of my main problems with the film when we reviewed it is the idea that I think there was definitely needed some more explanation for some of the plot aspects of the film. And I think as the movie has lingered, more and more people are seeing that as a much bigger problem. And it is a big problem. But I think you feel, I would disagree on how strongly you feel that it's trash.
I don't think it's trash. I think it's just really, really.
Well, you called it garbage.
Well, no,
You
it's
called
what is this garbage? As in those
what is this garbage?
Like, this
Okay,
element
fine.
is garbage. I would say it's like mediocrity manifested into a 2-hour film.
I don't know. I think Damon Lindelof, I guess more. I think his writing is flawed more on a
Is this why people
conceptual
don't like
level
Lost?
than.
Is this guy the reason why people don't like Lost? Because
Yeah.
if they do,
I don't know.
totally
I hear
understand.
he writes Lost. Yeah, I hear he's like been a big writer for Lost.
Yeah, he's
no,
kind
he-
of the
he
reason
was-
that they had no idea where they were going.
Yeah.
Okay.
He has
That
cool ideas
makes
that are
sense.
so intriguing, and then apparently they don't follow up.
They're all
Kinda-
stuck in his head, and he
he's
just
a
puts down
little
the stuff
bit-
that begins.
He's a little bit like the Stephen King of TV, where a lot of Stephen
yeah,
King
that makes
stuff
sense.
doesn't quite pull, in the end
I would
deliver.
like to see that Brad Bird and Stephen
Yeah.
King team up. I would like
Ooh,
to see that.
that
Even
would
if
be
it
a
was
good
bad, I'd
team
like
up.
to see that.
Yeah.
Not Damon Lindelof
But,
and Brad.
Well, I think just on a conceptual level it fails. I don't think the writing itself is really that bad, like the banter or anything like that. And I think that there are some good performances here, for sure. And the visuals are just spectacular. Love that tracking shot at Tomorrowland, the first one. That is Brad Bird as a visionary right there. That's like probably the best scene in the movie, based on my recollection. Why the hate for Hugh Laurie though? I
He's
think
just
Hugh
a
Laurie's
British
performance
guy
was
who
good.
says that thing.
He's pointless.
He
I'll
has
give you
so
that.
much. He was pointless, sure, but I think Hugh Laurie just is going to give any good conviction and presence to
He just
any
spends
performance
like
he
the
gives.
the climax just explaining a huge it's
But
like
that was such a good speech. I like that speech.
it was
I think that was
such
an
a
engaging
drag.
moment for me.
Man,
I was
this is-
so
I don't know.
was so bummed out when I saw it. I was so bummed out.
But
Watching
I
the
see
big
where
old
you're coming
XD
from.
theater,
And
my theater was like, God.
yeah, it sucks. It sucks to see that this movie still lingers with you even
Yeah.
after all those months. Ugh. Oh well. All right. So those are
Hold
those are
on.
our number twos.
Oh my God.
What? There's,
It's not been mentioned
Wait.
yet. The film
No.
I think is all our number ones has not been mentioned yet.
It has not.
okay. So we all might know what our number ones are, but before we get to those, let's mention a couple brief honorable mentions going down the line. Sean, what about you?
All right. I guess I can
Dishonorable
start,
mentions,
because we
excuse me,
mentioned
sorry.
it, I got to start with Trainwreck, which I think was completely amateur. It was amazing that a director as practiced in comedy as Judd Apatow made this. Jokes just kept going for like 3 times as long as they should. The delivery was off, and it did the unforgivable sin for me, where a stand-up in their movie, their character just goes into a stand-up routine. And the characters laugh. Oh, you're so funny. It's terrible.
I
So-
actually totally agree with you, but I think the movie's still good. It's very much an American comedy. I
And
totally
I think
get that.
it just completely failed. It tried
Boys
to do
make
this
noise.
emotional core.
I think it's funny sometimes.
It tried to do this emotional story. It did not work. Jupiter Ascending
it worked.
is just dumb and it's hilarious.
Oh,
but,
I thought. Oh man, I was hoping that would be on the list.
but
somewhere.
it's pretty bad. But I would not put on the list because emotionally, it's actually kind of fun. Because,
Poor Eddie Redmayne.
Eddie Redmayne just
Poor
goes nuts,
Redmayne.
and it's worth watching just for him. Not create
right after
life.
Theory of Everything. It's
wonderful.
Right afterwards, he got an Oscar. He had to be
Yeah.
in Jupiter Ascending.
And then, of course, I think we're both going to mention it, but Pixels and Fantastic Four, terrible movies.
Yeah.
Those are probably the worst,
Yeah.
two worst. Just dreadful.
Yeah.
And then Jurassic World,
Oh yeah, there's one. I was going to mention that.
which
I'll mention
was,
it. I'll talk a
just
little bit about
flat
that.
and meaningless
Yeah.
and vapid and just a
Vapid, good
disappointment
word.
in terms of it didn't try anything. It felt like, and it was really dumb in its plot and characters were 2D. Yeah. We all know why Jurassic World did not work. Anyway,
Indeed.
those are my runner-ups.
As far as I'm concerned, one movie that nobody mentioned was Mordecai, because I don't think any of you went out to go see it
Nope.
for obvious reasons. I saw it because I wanted a good time at the movies, and I got it. It's stupid. The writing's not that good. There's no meaning to it whatsoever. But damn if Johnny Depp isn't trying his hardest. And I think when Johnny Depp's being that swagger-like goofball, I think it works. And it's just it's a fun movie, but I'm probably never gonna see it again. There's a weird mustache joke that just it feels really uncomfortable. Oh my god. But besides for that, again, just a couple of ones that we talked about before. Mad Max. I mentioned all my theories on that. Jurassic World was just, I cannot believe that a movie with so much potential to really push the franchise forward just didn't do anything.
Yeah, if you
Kind
want
of
to
a
know
mindless
remix
action
scenes
movie.
/ relying way too heavily on previous movies, it's not
Yeah.
Force Awakens, it's Jurassic World.
Oh, absolutely. And not in the way, not necessarily in a plot way, but more so just like hey, look, guys, Jurassic Park. Remember that movie?
Yeah.
That movie was cool.
Literally go to Jurassic Park. Like the two kids, they stumble across the original location. It's like, come on, you guys. Ugh.
Plus, they recreate like several moments.
Yeah.
Like the glass ball moment still stands in my mind. It's just a complete retread of the T-Rex scene from the first. But not only that, it was just there was nothing to it. It was, and like some of the character choices in this movie were just, oh my god, mind-bogglingly terrible.
All right, let's keep it going. We don't want to make this go
at
over
least
2 hours.
But at least I had it was mindless fun for a lot of it, which was fun. And then, of course, Pixels and Fantastic Four. Movies we knew were going to be bad upon arrival.
Well,
although
I didn't think Fantastic Four was going to be that bad.
No, I didn't think either was going to be bad. Chris Columbus.
Well, I didn't get to see it around the time of release, so I saw it was going to be bad, and I walked in knowing it was going to be bad. But I will say, for Fantastic Four, I do think that there are some elements I do like.
Really?
I do like some elements. The design is not good.
Okay, we can't do this today, okay?
What? I think I just want to put
too
this out there. I'm not going too in depth. I'm just saying I like Doctor Doom. That's all I'm going to say. I think his scene where he wakes up is just awesome. One of my favorite scenes of the year, honestly. That really got me and surprised me. But yeah, those are my honorable mentions. What about you, Max?
Well, that was a weird thing that just happened, and I'll explain right before Sean gets to his number one. I guess here's the thing, I'm starting to actually question now my number one and switch it with my number 4 pick, but I feel like I have enough for number 1 to justify putting number 4, which is Spectre, as my number 4, if there was going to be. And you guys aren't talking, which leads me to a theory that I have that I'll explain in a second. But Spectre is bad in so many ways. I'm kind of surprised I didn't make this list, but I think it's because I was just like, all right, whatever, it's James Bond, cool. I mean, Skyfall was everything I needed, so, this is fine. But, everything that could have gone wrong pretty much goes wrong. And and the thing is, I know exactly why it went wrong because of stupid studio influence, which is why the business end of movie making really needs to take a step back from all the good creative stuff going on. But that's really the only one I have. Yeah, Pixels and Fantastic Four, but we've already talked about that, and that's really it. I don't have any other I guess 50 Shades, because I saw that, and it was pretty bad.
Oh, why did you see that?
Oh, did I tell you this story? I showed it at my film club thing, and everybody got really mad, and then I showed it, and we all laughed. It was really funny. It's a really funny kind of bad movie. It's not one of the worst movies I saw, but I did see it, the unrated version, and it's pretty dumb. It's pretty stupid. It's a pretty bad... Yeah, it's a really bad movie. But, yeah, I showed it, and everybody got really upset with me. They didn't do anything, and nothing came of it, so whatever.
Oh, and I did forget one honorable mention. Can I quickly put in? The more I think about it, the less I think it worked. The Good Dinosaur. Honestly.
Shut up.
Man, you were going so close. Close to not mentioning it. Sean, I'm surprised Kingsman isn't here. I thought you were going to mention Kingsman for a second.
Yeah, okay.
The movie got worse for me as I kept thinking about it.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Indifferent now. I want to rewatch it, though, just to get it.
It's really the only two things I could have thought of.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
all right, I have a theory, though. I have a theory now that changed just then. Can I make that theory?
Go ahead.
I believe that both of you put Spectre as number 1.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question.
Well, let's see.
I did. Did you, Sean?
Well, we have to see. Why don't you ask me what number 1 is?
What's your number 1, Sean?
Well, my number 1, it's about a British spy.
Okay.
Going on some adventures with some world ending.
Wait.
It's Kingsman: The Secret Service.
I had a feeling.
Oh my god!
All right.
Whoa! What?
Twist. Spectre is actually a runner-up.
God.
It is up there, but I did not put it in honorable
This
mentions.
year began and ended with bad spy movies.
Yeah, it did, which
my
was weird.
God.
Okay.
Sean, bravo.
Let me start by saying I think the best statement I can say about Kingsman: The Secret Service. You know the expression, a snot-nosed kid?
Yeah.
It's in your face. It's like sneering. It's just, you don't want to look at it. It's just obnoxious. Everything it's doing, you're like, stop. You're annoying. You don't deserve this. I just hate you so much. This is a snot-nosed movie. It is dreadful. The main character starts... It's funny. When I saw it the first time, I was like, wow, the character is just completely unlikable the entire way through. That's not correct. He goes from really just annoying and the movie thinks he's so cool to completely bland. And then at the end, you just want to punch him in the face. There's his character arc. You got an arc. Congratulations, movie. The plot is so standard, and nothing of interest ever happens. The glimmer of hope is that we have Harry, Colin Firth, is okay, because he's Colin Firth, and Mark Hamill's there for a second, but otherwise, is just terrible. It's just a terrible movie. Not a single moment is earned, and it's so off. The tone is off. Like there's an action scene in the pub, right, where Colin Firth beats up some drunk losers, whatever, attacking him. And it's all like comedy where like characters are, the camera's up in their face and going, whoa, as he's like swung around with a cane or like, whoa.
I still think that's a cool scene shot.
It does that scene. And then literally the next scene, he goes home and gets beaten up by his stepdad. Like this domestic abuse thing, and then near the end of the movie, the mother has a black eye. Like, what are you doing, movie? You realize you have the mother being abused by her husband, and in 5 minutes you're gonna have Samuel L. Jackson vomit on the camera? What do you think who do you think you are, movie? Genuinely, what is your mindset here? It is a disaster of tone. No characters are interesting because every single character in the whole training program, if you didn't notice, is just, oh, look how uppity I am and British. No
My
character.
father will hear about this.
Yeah, literally, I think he says that. Potter. And the action, let's get to the action. I hate this technique. Because when I was rewatching it the second time, there is amazing choreography here. Seriously. Like, just the action's happening, like, then he grabs this, and boom, it's like creative, like, flipping, and whoa, it's like, wow, this would be really good, as this is, like, almost a Matrix-level choreography. It's impressive. The problem is that when it's sped up like that, it looks like a cartoon. And I will always stand by that. It looks like you could add the Benny Hill thing. As he's, like, ripping off eyes and stuff. It's terrible. I could not get into it. Dreadful. And, like, the plot being this weird, like, maybe global warming message, but doesn't know what to say at all about it. And it ends with this ridiculous, everyone's head exploding scene that is just so unearned, so grotesquely, oh, look at what we've accomplished as a film. We're so great and cool. I hate it. I hate this film. It's the only one I hate. I don't hate Mad Max. I don't even hate Sicario. It just made me really sad and angry. I don't hate Good Dinosaur. I don't hate Trainwreck. I don't hate Jurassic World. I hate Kingsman: The Secret Service. I genuinely hate it. It is completely unpleasant from beginning to end. Nothing good is in it. Every shot is put the character in the middle of the frame and push in awkwardly quickly. It's dreadful.
All right.
I'm done. I hate it. I hate it. So
Okay.
I did not forget
Sean,
to
for
mention
keeping-
it, Larry. I was definitely going to get to
Bravo
it.
for like working with and acting it out.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you. I take
That
my
kind of
bow.
ruins.
That was a better
Yeah.
performance than anyone in Kingsman. So I take my bow.
Here's the thing. I watched this movie and I reviewed it with you, Sean. Were you there for that, Larry? I forget.
Absolutely. I was there.
yeah.
I saw it.
I liked it, and now the more I think about it, the stupider it gets. Like, it's just
Good.
not very good, and it's
Yeah, it's
very
pretty
much
stupid.
centered on this stupid, tried and false hero's journey, Campbellian stupid stuff. Star Wars can pull that off. Stay back, everybody else. Like,
Pretty
honestly,
much.
it's
At this point, you have to do a really... I mean, there are theories that pretty much every story could eventually be distilled down Hero's Journey. It's probably true. But going like this
Right,
note for note, it comes
Yeah.
across as so dull to me.
it's so dull, and it's like
no.
of course. Like, it ends with, I don't even want to say
Oh
it.
yeah, the endings.
Oh, So-
yeah, no, the ending. Like, hey, that's our great note.
Yeah.
Oh,
Again,
yeah,
like I said,
terrible.
the great
That left a really
victorious
bad
note.
taste in my mouth.
The hero kills the villain. Victoria saves the world. What's that note? Samuel Jackson vomits on the camera. There it is.
Yeah.
Yay, good job, movie. That's our victorious moment. Are we 12 going, ew, clapping? No, we're not. We're adults.
I will say though, the head exploding montage was great in the theater.
No, I found
The
it just
theater, I enjoyed
completely
it quite a
unearned and
lot.
just obnoxious that they
It may
thought
have
they
been
could get away with
unearned,
that.
but
If they,
I don't know,
if
the
they,
timing to the
the fact
music.
that they thought they could get away with something that just abstractly surreal and bizarre means they completely did not understand how bad of a movie they made. So I hated it.
yeah, I think the movie's like thinks it's really quirky, but really it kind of is kind of dull and follows a lot of treads a lot of
Yeah,
ground
'cause
that we've seen
at
before.
its best, I was bored.
Right.
That's it. Like, honestly, the best part of the movie was when I was so bored I checked Twitter on my phone. Not in the theater. It's the second time watching. I never check my phone. But yeah.
Of course,
it's
yeah.
garbage.
All right, Larry.
All right. Well.
Also,
that
can I
kinda
just
ruined my
quickly,
theory.
funny thing, Mark Hamill was in my favorite movie of 2015 and my least favorite movie of
And your
2015.
least favorite.
Wait, what?
How
He was in
that's
Kingsman?
Funny how that,
Yeah, remember he
Yeah,
was
you
the
don't
professor
remember?
at the beginning?
Oh my God.
Yeah, Mark Hamill.
Completely
Yeah.
forgot about
Mixed
that.
year for me.
They
you kind
found
of
him.
realize how strange of a cameo that is.
Yeah.
There's Luke. That's what Luke was
He was
doing
in-
before Star
he was in
Wars. He was a
Britain.
professor.
Professor.
He was a professor in
Spoilers,
Britain.
sorry guys.
Yeah, sorry. That's the whole story during the training montage. They talk about how he's a professor.
Yeah.
Anyway, that kind of ruins it. I was kind of really hoping we could talk about Spectre
Oh, we
together.
can.
As
Yeah,
we
it
go.
here's the
is
weird
a
thing.
rise.
As our
I'm
number
surprised
one.
that you didn't put on theirs too, Sean. I'm surprised I didn't put it on my list.
Yeah,
honestly.
I think
I'm
honestly,
surprised too.
because we burned through it. Because we were so disappointed, we all just came together for our review and we just hated on it. I don't think there was anything left to simmer.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem. Is that Kingsman, it all year had kind of been bothering me, and then rewatched even worse. But with Spectre, we got all our emotions out. So we just kind of let it go. I think that's why none of us put it on the list. But it's still high up there. So Larry, what's your number one?
Spectre.
Okay, let's talk about Spectre.
And for clear reasons. I think, and I'm not going to go into too much detail about everything that I hate about Spectre, but the overall idea that I got out of Spectre is that Spectre is an example of how you can just try being something you're not, and just everything goes to crud. Excuse me. So quickly and so disastrously. Spectre tries to be a Marvel movie, and I hate saying that, but it is.
It does.
It tries to be a Marvel movie. It tries to do so much without ever actually doing it.
And this isn't even in the whole universe building thing. Like, you know the joke at the beginning when he falls down the building and lands on the couch?
Yeah,
Picture Tony Stark doing
joke's-
that. Is that out of place?
Yeah.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
It
Iron
makes
Man's suit
sense.
fails. He falls. Oh, it's a couch. That totally
and
fits.
the couch, and there would be two other people in there just watching and be like, "Hey guys, how you doing?" Like that. That's how that scene would play out.
That is not the new Bond.
Yeah.
Nope. No. It's
And
not.
yeah, the worst part is how it retroactively trivializes all the good work the previous three films did.
Yeah.
Their villains are
know.
now just, oh no, I sent. Me, forgettable misuse of Christoph Waltz. It was me,
Yes.
James.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the worst
author
part is
of all
like
your
I kept
pain.
The author of your pain.
Author
Yeah.
of all your pain.
Terrible.
Terrible.
Did you guys see he was actually in a commercial for Clash of Clans?
Yeah, no, that plays
Yeah,
every time
I saw
see
that
Star
before I-
Wars, and
oh
it's
my
actually
God,
It
really
was
fun.
so weird.
When I saw The Big Short, that was the commercial for The Big Short
that
in
was
the
the commercial
theater.
before Carol for me. Like what?
That was before Star
Oh my
Wars. The
God.
5 times I've seen
That's
it.
so
I've seen it a
weird.
lot.
So weird.
Oh my
Okay, here's
God.
the thing. All right,
James Corbett, what's
can
he
I just
doing there
May I
either?
just cut in real quick?
Yeah,
I think
sure.
the reason why this is not my number one or number anything is because I kept asking, how did this happen? I'm like, I know exactly what happened. MGM got the rights to Spectre, which has been in the Bond lore since the 60s, and the guy who I can't remember his name, but
Blofeld.
he is the
Blofeld.
original guy
That's
with
his
the
actual
like
name.
evil bald guy with
Yeah.
the cat. Like
With the monocle and
Yep.
stroking the cap on his chair. Yeah.
the fact
He's
that
like
you,
the Bond villain.
Yeah, like
It's meaningless.
Yeah, it's like
it's
you
meaningless.
screwed it up, MGM. I don't care about Bond fan service. The worst part is though, during that Tarantino interview, he was talking about how he liked Spectre because it was a James Bond film. Like he was saying, like the other ones weren't. If this is what a James Bond film is, I don't want to see any other James
Hey,
Bond movies.
guess what?
I know,
Guess
right?
what? Maybe James Bond movies aren't that good.
Hey, Man with the Golden Gun is pretty
Well,
good.
some of them aren't that good. So, some of them are great.
But look,
my-
Casino Royale is an amazing
it's
reboot. It's like the
so
best
Casino
reboot.
Royale
great.
and- yeah.
And Skyfall
Yeah,
was incredible too.
Dang. son.
And it was the
Yeah,
same
I just-
people that did Skyfall did this.
I know, and that's another thing that really bothered. There's just like, I mean, the same people involved in Skyfall, one of my favorite films of that year, made this. And again, Max, I know what you mean. Of course, it was studio involvement, but that makes it even worse for me. I understand if studio involvement deals with Marvel and what
Yeah,
they
that's
put in their
fine.
timeline.
In
or
that
Data-driven
case-
Yeah, because-
cinematic universe, that's fine.
because that's already taken the time. It's so frustrating to me how I keep having to go back and like Marvel took the time. They made each singular movie. Hell, they even did a second Iron Man movie.
Yeah.
And then they made the whole universe crossover.
They have said when they were writing Iron Man, they thought we should do this. You can't make
Yeah.
a Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, and then say, "You guys, let's do it." No,
yeah.
it did not work.
You can't do it.
It was a complete
And like
failure.
if they maybe, hey, let's make like a James Bond universe with the next Bond we're doing, and they started from the
Yeah.
ground up, it would have absolutely been fine. But it's oh my god, and it's like, and see, here's the thing, James Bond. I really like James Bond. I love a lot of James Bond movies, but it's just you ruin such amazing franchises by using such down and dirty, lazy, cut to the finish methods like this, and it just. Spectre is just an example of a movie that just it is a sign for me. Like if we're gonna keep doing this with big franchises like this, like it's really just this is how the franchise age is gonna die.
Just-
when we start seeing movies that start trying to make franchises too big too soon.
Yep.
And just start.
Just wait,
God,
Fantastic
this-
Beasts and Where to Find Them. It's villains like, I'm going to create this puppet named Voldemort.
Oh no!
Oh, my
no,
God,
no.
God forbid.
No, Rowling would not
God
do that.
forbid.
I
No
know,
way.
it's a joke. It's a joke.
But
She
like,
won't do it.
like, when we did this episode last year, Amazing Spider-Man 2, I believe, was my least favorite film.
I think so.
It was between Maleficent and Amazing Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man 2 was, I believe it was number 1, for the same reasons. The same exact flippin' reasons. They tried to do too much. And, like, but Spectre, it's even worse. Because at least with Spider-Man 2, it tries. It tries to establish everything. Spectre's like, let's try to connect the three movies while actually not doing anything to actually make it meaningful or actually connect
basically
them.
looked to the audience and said, hey, guys, they were connected.
Yeah, remember that? Remember when they were... No, I don't remember when they were
because
connected.
they weren't.
Yeah.
Because they were
and
self-contained
Sean, you even
motivations.
Sean, you even mentioned that they have a character from the last few
I'll
movies.
just
They could have
reiterate for
done
those
it.
that didn't watch the review, though you should.
Please, do it.
The whole idea of like, hey, let's have one character that's been kind of creating Bond's struggles, and it's a personal motive, and has been involved since the beginning. That idea is fine if you execute it well. And what sucks about how they just threw this new character in, played by Christoph Waltz, is that they already had this character, and that was Mr. White. He was there in Casino Royale, he was there in Quantum, I think he's alluded to in Skyfall. He has been there since the beginning. And his name, Mr. White, that's not his real name. Come on. He could be Blofeld. He could be Spectre. Come on. They just missed this opportunity, and that would have made it so much better. But regardless, it looks ugly. I think a terrible color
it looks
palette.
ugly too, yeah. I guess, honestly, looking back, I thought the cinematography was really good, and I rewatched Spectre another time just to see if there's anything else, but honestly, no. It's not. It doesn't really look that good on a
Actions weren't impressive, and let me just say, the whole romance between Bond and, I can't remember her name.
Madeline Swan.
Yeah.
That's her name. Terrible.
Do you want to know how bad it was? I was about to, in my head, I was complimenting the movie like, I'm really glad that they didn't push a James Bond a romance with her. Like, they're not pushing anything with them. And then they just start making out and have sex. It's like, okay, well, good job. Good work. That's how That's how well built up it was. I genuinely thought you were going out of your way to do the opposite. Good job.
And poor Monica Bellucci too, stuck in such a terrible motivation of a scene, like with James Bond's motivation to that whole scene. And like, I just want to make one last point about Blofeld. I don't care if the character was Blofeld. Sure, it would have been meaningless and it would have been pandering to James Bond nostalgia. But if it was just like the concept of Blofeld as a character, fine. But they try to make it as if this Blofeld was the author of all your pain, and it's just like it doesn't work
over some daddy issues. Over some
Daddy never loved me. Daddy loved you more than me. Oh my God, so hackneyed, unoriginal, and uninspired.
Man, now I'm kind of wondering. Like, it might upset me more than Sicario. Put them tied.
It should have annoyed you more than Sicario.
It's funny because I'm going to echo what a critic said. People say that Casino Royale kind of is sort of mimicking Batman Begins, and Skyfall is mimicking The Dark Knight. Why couldn't Spectre have just mimicked The Dark Knight Rises? Because listen,
it wouldn't have been as good, but it would have been so much better than Spectre turned out.
Yeah,
yeah.
To be quite honest, like okay, fine. People don't like Dark Knight Rises, but at least with that, there's not only closure, but there's like, God, and they ended. Even though my friend, who's a huge James Bond fan, keeps telling me that like there's another one that Daniel Craig has signed on to do. Like what?
I don't. Care.
I still can't find a solidification of those rumors.
I thought that was
Craig
the first. I don't care. It's
whatever. All right, it's bad. Let's move on.
Yeah,
I don't know what your number one is, Max.
All right,
Spectre is bad. Max, please tell me there's a movie that you hate more than I
don't
hate
hate movies, Larry. I don't hate. There's two.
Yes,
I guess I hate what Spectre says.
Okay, yeah.
Not necessarily
what Spectre
itself.
represents in the film industry is something definitely condemnable beyond belief. But no. See, my theory was that all of us were going to choose this as our number one, but then you guys put it in your honorable mentions. This movie, I walked out of the theater and I was infuriated.
Oh, right.
I was completely angry because what this film was doing, making all the money that it did, was setting our industry back.
Oh, of course.
And
all the money
it made, and all the stuff it does in the movie is so meaningless and so Jurassic World.
Why am I not surprised? I should have seen it coming.
You just said like 5 seconds ago. I don't know your number one.
Yep.
This movie.
I do.
Oh, I thought it was Fantastic Four.
No.
I swear it was going to be Fantastic
Four.
Four.
I said Fantastic Four because
Jurassic
it's
World.
not. I mean, whatever. No. Fantastic Four didn't make any money though.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It didn't make any money.
That's why I was saying I don't think it made money.
No.
When I was
Jurassic World is not a bad film at all. It's competent, but it also represents so many problems that I thought we as an industry were starting to move away from. I thought we were done with the whole women ruin everything thing, that this movie radiates so badly. I keep explaining this. I think it's also because a lot of my good friends in college actually really like this movie, and I always explain to them, this movie's message is for women, am I right? Like,
basically.
Yeah.
Women, right?
Yeah, it's
Terrible.
so focused on this, on so many different plot threads that are meaningless, that mean nothing. And
The boss flies a helicopter. What?
yeah,
What?
tell me, people out there who really keep arguing that The Force Awakens is really a rehash, tell me for one god dang second that Jurassic World isn't just Jurassic Park in 2015. If you want to call, okay, people call Star Wars The Force Awakens sort of a fan film, not in a bad or good way, but because it very much does talk about the original cast as like this big thing, as sort of like idolizes them. That's fine. Jurassic World is the fan film in the worst sense. As it was made, it seems to be made by a bunch of people who just love Jurassic Park and just wanted Jurassic Park again. And this is also coming from somebody who's never really been a big Jurassic Park guy. I just never really cared that much for it.
Okay, as
I
someone
really
who
like
likes
Jurassic
it, not
Park.
like super into it, at least try to be half as good as Jurassic Park if you're just going to remake
Jurassic Park
Park.
changed the industry. This one
I
might change
really
it for
like
the
Jurassic
worse. Like
Yeah.
everything, the stupid love story, it's like a bunch of cliches from like the early 2000s that I thought we would move past.
Yeah, that's the thing. This felt like an early 2000s / late 90s blockbuster. I thought we
Yeah.
were better too.
Yeah,
I
I
think
thought
we're in
we
the golden
moved
age of
past this.
blockbusters where they actually have character work and they actually have like artistry behind them. This was just huge step back.
Why do we have a conversation about divorce in this movie? Why do we have a romance in this movie? Why do we have anything that isn't just people running away from dinosaurs and some kind of plot about that? Well, like, we had a whole podcast about what could have made this movie better. We can do better.
Yep.
I don't
We did a
say
review
that
and then
for
a
most
better.
movies because I think people in the
Yeah.
film industry are smart people who like making money and making good movies. But we could have done better.
Yep.
But you know what really sinks in
Yep.
the most? The worst part about this movie is that it made so much money it got Disney's attention. And they just put what could be the only black stain on their otherwise very clean track record with Star Wars by putting Colin Trevorrow in the director's chair for Episode 9. Oh boy. You want to talk about retreads? God help us
Yeah.
all. I mean, because honestly,
Now-
like,
Oh, boy.
maybe
There's
that's a little
glimmers
bit...
of hope. There are glimmers of hope.
Yeah.
Max, do you want me to
Ryan
help you a little
Johnson.
bit? The glimmers of hope.
Ryan Johnson.
It is going to be written by Ryan Johnson.
Yeah.
Yes.
So at
Ryan
least the
Johnson.
script is going to be of someone that I trust, from someone I trust. Also, Josh Trank was going to direct a Star Wars movie.
I think it was the second anthology movie. It was going to be the one
Yeah.
coming in 2020. It was not supposed to direct an episode. That was never on the table.
Well, no, actually, I think he was supposed to do the Han Solo one, but the Han Solo one was going to be
Yeah, that's
third.
it.
He was going to be
that's right.
second, but now the Han Solo one's second. We don't know what third is.
But okay, yeah,
Right,
that
right.
would have gone wrong in so many ways too.
Yeah, and that was canceled. I have the hope, and I honestly consider it might actually happen. We might not see Trevorrow direct episode 9 by the time we get there.
hope, because the thing that all right. I guess I'm arguing about this more from like a cultural standpoint about what Jurassic Park did to film culture, because it didn't do anything good. But the movie itself is so meaningless and devoid of anything outside of man shouldn't play God, even though that was the original message of the original Jurassic Park.
And they didn't do anything with that message.
Yeah,
Not at all.
Not even
a
like
thing.
they didn't do anything new. They just flat out didn't do anything.
like
It was just Chris Pratt
yeah.
running around with raptors.
I've heard critics critics talking about how like they're tired of seeing movies where machismo wins, where spirituality
Machismo.
wins, when in reality they and they root for movies like The Martian where intelligence
Yes.
wins.
Yeah, that's what I love about that. The Martian
How
was.
could you get behind? And not a lot of critics did get behind this movie for the record, but how could you like root for a movie that is so focused on aping old times, on being regressive? This movie is regressive and enthusiastically so. It sends
Wow,
our industry
well
back,
put.
and it doesn't do anything to push us forward. And it's so pleased with itself. It's
Mm-hmm.
so happy to be a Jurassic Park film. It This really, really annoys me. This movie has annoyed me all year. I had to see it again, and it was even dumber. My friend, my good friend and I, we just talked about all the dumb things they did. Forget plot holes. Forget, character, whatever. This movie is so enthusiastically regressive to this industry, and that's why it pisses me off so much. Thanks,
Luckily,
movie.
Star Wars is going to beat it in terms of highest grossing of 2015.
Oh, thank
Not
God,
in 2015,
yeah.
but like of 2015
Yeah.
movies, it will make more.
And
Thank
that
goodness,
movie
at least
is
it can't
progressive. That
claim to be
movie
one.
gives us a lot of good things. So thanks,
Yeah.
Disney. And I can't believe I'm saying that. But thanks, Disney. Let's wipe out Jurassic World. No more Jurassic War. No more Jurassic anything. I'm tired of this. This is dumb, stupid franchise that has been wobbling around since Steven Spielberg left. Get Spielberg
You know
behind
what's
the
weird?
next one. I don't care. You can pay him to do that. Whatever. This movie
know what sucks?
Sucks. Even though it's not
It
a bad
does.
film. That's
You know
the thing.
what sucks?
It sucks even though it's not bad.
You wanna know what does suck though?
What?
All three of our least favorite films of the year, they're all getting sequels.
Yeah.
What?
Or at least as far as we
Well,
know.
wait,
I'm
Kingsman?
almost certain that Bond getting. Yeah, Kingsman got greenlit slightly after it released.
Kingsman got greenlit. Jurassic World,
got
unfortunately,
like three
greenlit.
more.
Yeah, it's getting.
Yeah,
it's
and
getting
then
almost silly.
Spectre apparently is getting a 5th movie.
Guys, it's end times. It's end
Yeah.
times.
Star
Again,
Wars
and,
will
you
save
know,
us
I've-
all. I promise.
Yep.
Maybe.
Let's just
Yeah,
hide
let's
behind
hope.
Disney's skirt. Disney will protect us.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah, I
Pixar.
just, like-
we got Marvel. We got Star Wars. We can hide behind Disney.
Yeah. I mean, I know you guys don't agree with me that this year, in my opinion, I don't think that this year was just a terrible year for movies in general. For me, there were a lot of movies that I was really looking forward to. And, like, the interesting thing about 2015 is that, like, people were like, oh, man, 2015's got all these amazing movies.
No.
Back in 2013, like, we had, like, these announcements for 2015.
Yeah, that's true.
Now looking forward, it's more like now we're all looking forward to 2016.
2016 is gonna be crazy. Absolutely.
Speaking of
Yeah,
which,
it's gonna be awesome. But yeah, so you know, it's just these movies really bothered me. But thankfully, there were some good movies that I did really enjoy. And thinking back, maybe I am being a little bit too Debbie Downer.
I don't think it's possible to say this was a
Man,
great or
Spectre
bad year
bothered
for
me.
movies because that's really throwing a shade
Well, I'm just
of
saying
good
for
or
me.
bad because
Right. I'm just saying for the movies that I saw, I ended up seeing a lot more
personally,
that
but for the industry, it was
disappointed me.
another movie it was the other year
Right.
for
For
movies.
the industry, it was another
Well,
year.
no.
In fact, there was a lot of money
for the
this
industry.
year.
It was a good one in
Oh,
terms of money.
boy.
But there's the argument
yeah,
that it
for
was
sure.
like majority was on few huge releases, and so that might actually like kind of make it a bad movie.
I am convinced that Star Wars brought people back to the movies. I went to see Carol. Carol, a movie that is like, and it was packed. It was absolutely packed. I could not believe it.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
2 years
Good
ago, I
for you,
went to go
Star
see
Wars.
Her, a movie that's even more critically acclaimed, and like nobody was in there. Like, just nobody was in the movie theater. Like,
Oh, I loved her.
Yeah.
I
Star
still
Wars will
have
save us all.
memories of her.
And you
Oh,
two
Star
are
Wars will save
so
us all.
ungrateful as to not make your number one film in 2015. How dare
Oh,
you?
please.
Oh, whatever.
Oh,
Pixar will
please.
save
Okay.
us all.
Anyway, so
Yep.
Pixar will definitely.
Incredibles 2. Okay,
Anyway,
Brad Bird, you turned down Star Wars for Tomorrowland. You better make this up with Incredibles 2. I swear to God, I will cry. I will do it. I'll do it.
I will cry.
Okay,
And
I
you
think
will
we're
not
getting
like
ahead of
her.
ourselves because that's not even
yeah.
2016. That's
Okay.
like what 18 or 19.
All right, so that is our top three two-parter for 2015 in review. But we are not done yet. We have a couple more episodes for our 2015 in review that will be coming out throughout the month. So stay tuned for that. I hope y'all have a very good, fresh start to your new year. And on that note, my name is Larry.
My name is Sean.
And my name is Max.
And I hope that next episode will be just a bit more positive.
It kind of has to.
Hopefully.
Be. Don't know if I can take another one.
Yeah, let's be positive, guys. That's always fun.